Alec, welcome to our spooky first video of October.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not spooky.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
so.
even Alec.
I'm a I'm a punk. I'm a steampunk.
Do you really so think that?
Yeah, I guess.
Then I declare war on you
Oh
all.
Lord.
The fourth great ninja war.
Oh, yeah, I totally understand the reference.
Yes, as does all, I'm sure. So how are things? I am Toby,
I am a steampunk,
as
and I'm
you
here.
are a steampunk man.
And it's getting real crowded over here. I got a deadly bride and an
I, I,
upside down child. It's
I see you have
crazy over here.
a spooky bride.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's really
Toby.
cramped over here, honestly.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
well,
I don't know how you're gonna go on.
I don't know. I'm very awkward in these kinds of situations when I'm around people, and I'm awkward interacting. Kind of want to get out of here.
I get
You
what
know what
you're
I'm
I get what you're
saying?
going. I get what you're doing right now. I get what's going on. I get what you're talking.
Oh
I get
man,
what you're throwing down. I get it.
we're
I
here to
understand.
talk about Dear Evan Hansen, the
Oh
movie
boy,
adaptation of the hit musical, Broadway
we
musical.
we sure are. I also looking. My hair looks like Roxas's hair right now. This is great. I love it.
Oh,
Yeah, I should have been Roxas maybe. Yes, we're here to talk about Dear Evan Hansen, Broadway musical made into a movie. I was going to say a smash hit, but it has not been a smash hit.
the movie
Much
has
to
not
there.
been a smash hit.
No, no, it has not, and I don't think it will be.
And
Um,
I'm guessing you agree with it not being a smash hit.
I do. so so
Broadly speaking, we'll get into spoilers later, but let's speak
yeah,
broadly on it.
broadly speaking, okay, so I remember when this show was like a thing. I was dating somebody at the time, or was involved with somebody at the time who was very big into Broadway. She's kind of what like sort of got me back into the enjoyment of like Broadway shows and stuff. And I had listened to some of the music from this, but I hadn't like. And I think I remember her telling me the general premise of Dear Evan Hansen. I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. Um, and I think we listened to some of the music from it. I remember enjoying it, but I'd never like gone felt like, well, I really need to seek it out and like listen to it, despite the fact that it won like 6 Tonys or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, flash forward to now, and I saw the trailer for this film, and I was like, okay, I know Ben Platt originated this on Broadway, but he does not look like he's in high school. He looks like he's older than me, and that's weird. That's very weird, and it's off-putting. So I was like, I don't know about that.
We know
Um,
he's not, right? Is he older? Isn't he? I heard he was like,
no, he's 20. He's 26,
yeah.
27.
I heard he was
He, but
actually in
he
his
look,
20s, but
but he straight up looks older than me. That's what I mean. He did the screen did not was not kind to him. And here's the thing: I felt like he probably still could be playing
oh,
Evan Hansen on Broadway if he wanted to. There's this when you enter a theater, when you there's this sort of like veneer. It's the melodrama. It's the atmosphere. It's like the audience can sort of forget and play along in the moment with a show, a live show happening in front of them. It's much harder to do in a movie. It's a lot harder to do in a movie, I would actually say.
mm-hmm.
You have to really sell the story and the characters in order for you to some, or you have to actually look like you're the age of the person that you're portraying. So I was already pretty off put by that, going into it. The fact that it was clearly a nepotism thing because his father was a producer on the show, and this movie, I should say. Um, so it already had me kind of like, I don't know, but I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a shot. I did not like this film. In fact, I think I probably hated it, which sounds really harsh. It probably doesn't necessarily deserve that, but I felt very cheap. I felt like it was very cheap and manipulative, and I did not think that was a very good look for actually talking about the subject of mental illness.
Mm.
I I just it just left me with a really like weird feeling at the end of it. So that's my whole 2 cents on it, to just generally speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say when I was going into it, when I saw the trailer, I was the one who was like, we should review this movie because I was really interested in it. I only knew it by name. I think my first time hearing it was when Pentatonics did a cover of "Waving Through a Window" a couple years ago, and but yeah, I never really knew the whole plot until I saw the trailer. I didn't have any idea what the plot was like, where it would go, and I knew it dealt with like mental health or something. I thought I'd be a sucker for it. I was planning to fully go into this and just be like sobbing, and just a total sucker for the idea of being the one, like, well, dealing with mental health and being the one that's feels like an outsider, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Those kinds of concepts, I can kind of be a sucker for.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but the execution wasn't there, and the plot
not
was
at all.
It went ways that I did not expect it to go, certainly.
No.
And yeah, I felt the same way. I felt weird coming out of it. I also felt a lot of the times that I was just bored. I don't know if it was just me being tired, but I was falling asleep a lot.
No, the direction of the film was very boring.
And like some songs were going on for so long, it felt like I'll doze off, and I wake up and it's still the same song.
The song's still going on, yeah.
And
there were
like,
long stretches of time.
I'm not into this song. It's like, okay.
This movie was like 2 hours and like 15 minutes long, so it was already kind of like a little lengthy. But I felt like it was weird because there were long periods of time where there weren't any songs, and I thought like I was kind of like,
I don't know, he breaks
more
into
songs.
A song, like it'll just be at the dinner table, start breaking into song. It feels weird. It felt weird sometimes, but
it was very weird. It was very weird.
Yeah, it felt too long. The movie, it felt like it dragged on at points. But there are a couple of songs that I really like. Like obviously, "Waving Through a Window" is like the biggest hit of this musical.
The big hit is actually "You're Not Alone" or whatever it is.
You'll be found.
Not alone. You will be found. Yeah, "You're Not Alone." "You're Not Alone" is from Carousel.
But "You Will Be
a much
Found"
better
is
song.
so good.
No, "You're Not Alone" is. No, it's not from that. What is that from? I think it might be actually from "Into the Woods." I don't know. I can't get my Broadway songs together now, but yes.
I don't know, but I love that song.
You'll Be Found is supposed to be like is supposed to be like the big hit of the show. That was like that was the big breakout hit of the. Well, just because Pentatonics did it didn't mean that's supposed to be the big hit.
I know that "Waving Through a Window" is known though from this musical, and it's like one of Ben Platt's big songs, and he performs it and stuff. But
okay, I guess you're probably right.
But both are great.
Yeah, I like both of them. The problem that I have with "You Will Be Found" is because how that plays into the narrative of the story, and we won't get into it right now. But I felt like it's almost, I don't know. There's that to me is like in the context of the musical is like the most like kind of gross, I guess, song. I without saying too much.
It's presented as such an uplifting thing.
It's presented as the most uplifting thing, yeah.
But okay, so overall, would you recommend people go see this movie?
No. I would not recommend.
I think it should have been great, right?
I feel like, and this might be giving it too much credit, but I feel like maybe with that kind of that context that I sort of presented with the stage, I also know that they changed some stuff. They actually dropped like several songs.
Yeah.
From the musical, it was like maybe giving his mom more of a character because she wasn't even a character in this movie, basically. She had a couple more songs that weren't in this, and then they added that other song that I thought was kind of late, like wasn't really all that great.
Which one did they add? Do you
remember? The one that the girl with the braids sings. That song, I don't think that song was in the original.
Ones?
Yeah,
I kind of like the idea of it though.
I do like the idea of the song. I just didn't think it was.
But most
It
of
was
the songs I
it was
wasn't
okay.
a fan of. Like even like I was like I
Yeah,
wouldn't listen to this again. There was only the couple
yeah,
ones that were like, okay, these are great.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
So I feel like maybe with that, maybe some of the pacing would have been fixed. I felt like some of the blocking and stuff like that, like it just felt so weird and stiff
well, and
and
I feel.
wrong. Like,
Oh yeah, and like the some of the acting is a little weird. Like
yeah,
the dad parent was weird sometimes. I felt like, but
he was a little weird. Yeah.
uh, I feel
I will say,
like
actually, the only time that I got choked up in the entire movie was when he finally felt like emotional.
mhm.
I was like, I felt that. I was like, you know what, that hits me
Yeah.
somewhere. But the whole rest of the movie, I was kind of like,
Yeah, I wasn't emotional at all. I was fully.
yeah,
I came in fully. I was like, just let me be emotional. I'm
I
here
was
for
hope,
it.
yeah, I was hoping to have an
But
emotional
I did.
reaction to it. Honestly, more of an
My
emotional
friend
reaction.
did. My friend did that I watched it with.
Okay,
She
okay.
she
Well,
was very emotional, but
well,
it just didn't work. It didn't work for me.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what it
Yeah.
was. Maybe we're just too much of a cynic. We're
I
too
know.
cynical.
I cry at so many movies. I cry at like Marvel movies, man. I cry at like
Yeah.
everything. Like, like the sentimental stuff. Like, that's why the dad thing got me. But like all the rest of the other stuff, I felt like the story just didn't
But so yeah, the plot felt
connect with me.
weird, and the
Yeah.
message I don't fully understand the message they're trying to get across. But that being said, I mean, I've heard people. I mean, people love the musical, and so I don't know how it
But
translated so differently.
the musical is also not without, as I've discovered, the musical itself is not also without detractors. There have been people that have been critical of it even since its run on
Okay,
Broadway in 2016.
but yeah,
So
even I've
it's
heard the people that love that also have
yeah,
problems with this movie adaptation of it. So I don't know.
yeah.
Something got messed up along the way here. All
I
right. So
think
yeah, that so we don't like
yeah,
it, but
yeah.
well, I didn't hate it, but it just didn't do anything for me when I was going in fully like embracing it. So
Yeah,
it's not even like me going in expecting to hate it. So,
yeah, yeah,
but yeah, so we can get into spoilers now, right?
yeah. So I think so, but I think to that point, yeah, we'll go into this is related to spoilers, but I think to that point of where people enjoyed it on Broadway but didn't enjoy it here, I think even some of us most ardent supporters who like the Broadway version will say that the story is not actually the strongest part of the strongest part of it. It's more about like the overall sort of message, I guess, which in this, because it's a movie, you have to sort of double down on the story, or you have to sort of emphasize that part of it rather than just the themes. And that's a problem when the entire story is about, so okay, basic framework of the plot. Evan Hansen has social anxiety. He's told by his therapist, write letters to yourself to help you gain a little bit more confidence, to help you maybe socialize a little bit better. Um, he writes one to himself that's kind of in a negative sort of light. Accidentally hits print on it. Another kid who's also, as we find out, was also had like emotional and mental health problems. Finds it, gets upset because of what the contents that are in it are referring to his sister during part of it, and then he freaks out. He kills himself, but he's found with a letter, and so his parents assume that Evan Hansen knew him and that they were friends. So what starts as a misunderstanding turns
It
into,
gets out of hand so quick.
it just gets so out of hand so quickly. I like, to me it was, I thought, seeing the trailer, I thought that speech scene that he gives at the school, I thought that was going to be like a moment where he kind of admits that, I thought that was like the climax of the film. I thought that was going to be the moment where he admits to everybody, I'm sorry I made it up, it was just a lie, but this is why it happened. I thought that was why I was like being like, wow, what a great message about like telling the truth, but like trying to like bring awareness to it. It's like, no, that happens like maybe at the end of the first act of the film. It's
And
really early.
And he doubles down. And he doubles down.
He doubles down repeatedly, and it's disgusting. He's the villain. He's kind of a monster. He's sort of a monster.
How is he the villain? And we're supposed to feel for him so much.
the movie is really the book is really trying to get us to feel something for him. I can't bring myself to feel anything more than like disdain and derision towards the actions that our protagonist makes in this film. And to me, it would have been interesting to see it almost take sort of a darker look at it, rather than being like, it is uplifting. Don't you get how uplifting the story is? Like, that's what the movie's telling you.
But
constantly.
It's sending such mixed messages. Like,
yeah, it's so weird.
We're supposed to feel for this guy. And
yeah.
I mean, definitely in the beginning, you can feel for the guy and what he's going through. But
yeah, that's why the what I through a window that or
waving through.
That's why that song is really effective. I think that song is great. Yeah. I think that one's great. Yeah. And even though the context of it's very weird, the song he sings about, and it's, I guess maybe it's a little creepy, but like the song he sings to the sister about the brother, like there are things in that I definitely hardcore related to in high school, like all the sort of pining and everything I did from a distance of girls that I liked in high school. Like I was like, I relate to this, except it
did feel weird.
It still was like, it was still weird because it was especially when he was saying things like, oh, your smile was like, I would die for that smile, or like it made me feel the way it makes me feel. I'm like, if a brother's saying that about his sister, if I was a sister, I'd be like, I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, did he like have this weird obsession, love for me or something? It's very creepy.
And like he would apparently tell Evan all these little details he noticed about his sister. It's like, oh, you tell me how you have this little look on your face right before you hit this perfect note. And it's like all these tiny little details. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, all the little how you dance when attention. How you dance, so what? Like the whole world is like no one's watching except I am. I'm watching from the bleachers. I mean, it's like, yeah, there's elements of that I definitely felt like I could relate to in terms of girls. But it was all in this weird thing.
You never feel good about it.
No,
it was all with a coat of weird around it throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
I did kind of like the song where they had Connor singing with the emails. I kind of like that.
It was I liked how, see, to me, if it was like a dark comedy, which I was kind of sort of taking it as during that, I was finding that funny. But then we're supposed to be like acknowledging that it's wrong, but we're also kind of supposed to be rooting for him at the same time. And it's like, but I can't really get behind what he's doing, because he's like, he literally is. This is the first thing he's thought of doing, is literally making up an entire fake history between them. It's like, that's messed up, dude. Like, why would you ever think that would be a good idea?
And so I never liked the friend. The family friend is different.
He was a dick. He was an absolute dick. I hated him. I was like, what? What does this character do? Like, what is he doing?
Like, he's supposed to be
why is he being such a
freaking
but why has he been such a dick to him? I just don't get it. It's like this character doesn't have friends, but we need someone to play off of him. But he can't have friends because that's his thing. He doesn't have friends, so he's gonna be a friend that's only a family friend. So he's a dick about it. I know. I get the loners. I mean, there are definitely moments in high school, or especially in middle school, where I felt like that.
But it's like they wanted him to be a loner, but they wanted to have this funny guy to bounce off of, so they worked him in that way.
I don't know.
A lot of it felt weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the thing, right? Is the weirdness is like, the weirdness is because he is using the death of a classmate for his own advantage, basically throughout the entire movie. It does eventually blow up in his face, and he does lose like a lot of the cred, but he doesn't really like really feel the punishment of that. Like, not really. Right, like, it still puts a positive spin on it at the end of the movie. It's very weird. He's
at, like, because he started out in a really bad spot. Like, he was struggling in school, and then this he uses to pull himself out of it in a way. So I imagine when it gets stripped away and then he's hated, then he's gonna be like even worse than before.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's the thing. Like, I almost, this sounds like really dark, but like I almost kind of wish that like he had actually gone through with it, what he tried to do at the very beginning of the movie. So okay,
oh
it's
wow, that would have been crazy.
it would I think it would have been I think it would have been a more effective twist, and I feel like the message would have been more serious and more sincere, about the importance of taking care of yourself. And because to me it was like, okay, so
Yeah, kind of on board with you. I
he
feel like it almost would
he
redeem the whole movie, like
it would have,
making
I
it,
think, because it would have been set. It
because
would
it's
have
like
been very,
okay, we can feel for him again now.
yeah, because it's
But I
like
mean,
he
that's
felt
also
like,
messed up.
right. Oh, it's messed up, but I feel like that's, I don't know. So yeah, so okay, he apparently tried to, throughout the film he has a cast on, right? So he has, but which, by the way, one of the worst props they could have thought. It was so cheap. They didn't have any padding underneath it. It was literally just a cast. And it's like,
It's like
if you
straight
know
out of a
somebody,
Broadway musical. Yeah.
it's like, but if you know anyone with a cast, if you're gonna have up close shots of a cast, you need to have like padding and stuff in there. It's like they don't just put a cast around your arm when they put a cast around your arm. It's like they got padding and like tissues and stuff to pad it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just ridiculous. I thought that was stupid. Anyway, that's just a stupid nitpick. So he had a cast on, and it's because he fell out of a tree. But as it turns out, towards the end of the film, he had missed his mother. He actually tried to jump, which he was not nearly high up enough in the tree to, unless he flipped over.
Didn't really think it through.
Didn't really think it through too well. But I mean, if you're in that state of mind, you might not necessarily be thinking it through all that well.
Thankfully.
Yeah. And like, to me, like the scene with him and his mom, that felt like really real and genuine to me, because it was like he's in this state where it's like, well, you're gonna hate me because I tried to do that. And that's, to me, with people when they're at their down at their lowest, that's based on conversation I've had with friends with the same sort of thing, and knowing people that have gone through stuff like this, is like, that's how they feel. Like they feel that, well, I maybe I tried to do this, and that makes me a worse person. And like, just the mom's reaction is just great. Like, I thought that scene was very effective.
Mm-hmm.
But then it still feels like it's still such an odd film, like, because it doesn't. It doesn't. Then it like puts a positive spin still on like everything he did, kind of like he doesn't get the girl in the end, but like they still have opened this orchard up and they name it after this kid who may or may not have been a horrible monster still. Like think about that. Remember how the sister said that, like, when Amy Adams is going through all the emails, she's like, oh, well, did you see that Connor wrote about you? And he was like, yeah. Did she talk about the time where he badgered me to take a bus to give him money, to give him drug money when I was 12?
Mm-hmm.
Or the time where he was beating my door down saying he was going to kill me? Did they have any of that in there? And I was like, wow, this Connor sounds like an absolute monster. Like but she's traumatized by this, and it's like, oh, and throughout the whole movie we're putting this fake positive spin on his life, when it's like all of that was so fake. Well, what if he didn't have any redeemable qualities? What if he was actually like,
well, that's the thing. Monster. It was all built on fakeness, basically. But
yeah.
But
then it's kind of like,
the message will be found.
Yeah, it's like, oh, at the end, but it's fine because, oh, he found a tape of him in rehab where he was writing this beautiful song, and isn't that nice? And it was like, okay, well, he still made his family suffer.
Well, I bought more of Connor's, like, being a troubled individual who, could have been good at heart, but he was just purely, he was just messed up after a certain point.
Right, but
corrupted.
But the thing is like, that's kind of what we're told by his mom, but like the reactions between everyone else is just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's,
well, most people when if they're doing horrible stuff, there's usually a reason for it.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. Oh, it's true. I'm not saying that he was just, yeah, I wasn't necessarily saying that he's all evil, but like putting a positive spin on the trauma that he caused his family, his little sister, who Evan Hansen has a crush on.
Well, that's Well, that's why
Yeah,
it's so layered. The
yeah.
why it is so bad what he did,
Well, yeah,
because he like because then the sister has to realize that okay, all these details that he said about him, all these emails, like they
yeah.
have to be like, okay, well, none of that was real in the end, and like he had been stringing them along for so long,
Right.
they were so convinced of this, like he was a different person, basically than who he actually was, and so that's why you feel even worse about it. But I don't get entirely the message they're going for. Like,
Yeah.
is Evan Hansen? Is he supposed to be like an anti-hero? Is he supposed to be like? Is it supposed to be showing how even like if you're struggling, it's like you can still be corrupted or you can still
No,
go down the wrong path.
I don't think it's supposed to. I don't even think it's supposed to be saying that. It's all has like an uplifting. Yes, the third act has sort of the downer part of it, but it still like is an uplifting thing at the end, which is like that's why it's so bizarre to me. Like
But yeah, I don't
it
get
just
what they're
doesn't
saying.
work. It just doesn't really work.
I don't get what you're supposed to get out of it. Like this guy was struggling. You sympathize with him so much in the beginning, and then by no fault of his own, he ends up in the situation with the parents where they're saying
Yeah,
this, like, "Oh, he was your friend," and then like you can understand the first couple of times maybe when he even by the point he goes to the dinner, maybe you can understand that because he's awkward and
sure.
everything.
Yeah,
But
he
then
just doesn't know what to say, because he's again social anxiety.
he took it and it's like he corrupted him. He took this little thing that he fell into and is like, okay, now I'm gonna go all in on I'm Connor's best friend and make up this whole backstory, this whole song and dance about going to the orchard and everything they did, all these beautiful details. Um,
And I'm gonna get involved in the Connor project to reopen the orchard that his classmate decided to do.
which is
Um,
like this idea. It's like it is a good thing by proxy, right? It's like it's not a bad thing.
right,
The fact that the Connor project was created, it's just built on a lie.
right, yeah. It's
It's
just
like so like you are doing good. I mean, the "You Will Be Found" song is like it's such a good song, and it's like but they did all these like social media, all these people on social media responding to it like, oh, you have to see this, you have to see this,
yeah.
and it's like okay, that is doing good, right?
But it's
But
all based on a lie, and that's why it's like that. To me, that doesn't justify it.
yeah,
That's where I feel like part of the maybe the Broadway version does a better job of working through that nuance. But given how I've talked to people that say that it's still problematic even in the Broadway version, I don't know if the nuance is there either. But
it's weird.
it's definitely not here.
It's weird
It's
to think
definitely not
about how
here.
that song's supposed to make you feel though, because it's so uplifting. It felt like it could be like the end of the movie here, like where
That's what I mean.
I
That's
thought
that's what I
it felt like it was
that's what I
ending
thought.
soon. Like it's like the classic ending montage almost, and then
But we
okay,
still have it.
we're gonna go into the epilogue now.
Yeah, but
But
we
I'm
still
like
have like
that,
an hour and 20 minutes of the movie.
yeah. I was like, and then it just suddenly just kept going for so long, and also, but also when I was thinking when I was watching it, I'm like, this feels like the end, but obviously they can't just end with him like this uplifting thing based on this lie, and that just be the end. So it felt weird. It felt the pacing did feel weird there.
Yeah.
And I don't know
Well,
how you're supposed to
also,
feel about it. So it's such an uplifting
yeah.
song.
Maybe that's the end of the first act in the Broadway. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But
And probably
another thing that was just like super kind of gross is like when he gets involved. So he and the sister strike up a relationship after all this stuff goes down. And that's just even more gross because it's like to me it's like okay, maybe you could lie to all these other people, but then when this has improved your status so much that now the dead kid's sister that you've had a crush on is now like into you, like instead of being like, oh, this is like really serious now that she thinks so highly of me, that it's like no, and then he just triples down on it, and it's like yeah, we're gonna be a thing now, and it's like
feels weird. It feels
it's
weird, and he got
yeah,
so close with the parents too. The mom was like a little too like cared about him a little too much. I felt like.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
calm
It was
down.
kind of it was very much a projection of like it's almost like he is her son now, like, and that's something that grieving people can do, that latch on to another individual like that. That's not unheard of.
Yeah, so the girl who was part of the Connor project that was in charge of running that, I think Elena or Alana
Mhm.
was her
Mhm.
name. I thought her character was pretty interesting. I kind of enjoyed the fact that it was like she's the outspoken, she's in charge of all these projects. So you wouldn't expect that kind of person to be dealing with mental health and all these issues.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then the fact that it did tie into that whole idea of the anonymous ones in the song, I thought that was
Yeah.
cool. And the fact that she went and approached him, and connected
I
to him on that level.
yeah, I will say terrible terrible thing. Do never do this. Never in your life do this. When you don't know somebody very well, do not start listing off the medications that you're taking.
Oh,
That's not okay. That's not cool. Don't do that. Kids, if any kids watching this, do not do that. That's bad. That's a bad thing. I was like when I saw it, I was like, that's no, what? No, don't answer that question. Why is she telling it? It was just so weird. It's like that's
mm.
not how you talk to somebody. It's like, hey, what's
They're,
up? Will you join my thing? Also, I take these
yeah,
drugs.
they're trying to relate. They're trying to
But it's
connect.
yeah, but you don't do that. The only people that I know like when they're taking things is when they're very close to me. They're friends. They know they can trust me with that information.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like that just felt that just felt very weird to me. That felt weird. Um and I thought there was something somewhere I was going to go with that. Oh, another thing that's weird.
But I enjoyed her character.
Yeah, her character. I also enjoyed her character actually.
Because there was like another person they added that was like could feel betrayed by all the stuff he was doing as well. So it was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yet another
She's the first
connection he
one.
made based on a lie, and then
Yeah,
it was
and
like
she's sort of the first one that confronts him kind of about it too. Is like, hey, is this like? Do you even really know him at all? Like, it's
yeah,
kind of weird. You're acting really weird about things.
it was
So
like I don't tell me I'm lying to these people, Evan, and it's sad because all these connections, like especially that connection, it was
yeah,
like a genuine connection they had based on actual issues they both went through, but
yeah,
then like their connection strengthened through this lie. So
yeah.
then that ruined it there, and he could have had some good stuff going here if he just he didn't build it on this lie.
I also feel like the movie never properly rebuffed the characters when they were claiming, like Evan claims stuff about like talking about how oh, I don't want to take the meds because I don't want it to change me, or I don't want to go to therapy to fix myself, or things like that. I felt like those concepts were never properly like rebuffed or like corrected, I guess. Because I mean, I guess I suppose his mom doesn't really know how to talk about those issues, so maybe that doesn't make sense. But I feel like in terms of for talking to people that are dealing with mental health issues, it's like both of those things can be extremely important for you. And I think those sort of concepts that people may have um, need to be addressed a little bit more sensitively, I guess. I guess I was like, again, it's a high schooler, so of course he might feel that way. But is also a guy who looks like he's 35 that's up there. That's an exaggeration, but it's a guy who looks like he's in his 30s that's up there. That makes it more weird. So there's more of a disconnect. Um, but it's like when you are those concepts, I think need to be addressed more appropriately, because like sometimes medication is something that's for you, sometimes you don't need that, sometimes that is true, sometimes therapy is going to be a better thing for you rather than medication, but like maybe it's a mixture of both. It could be. There's a lot of nuance in talking about mental health and doing things with mental health that like
Yeah,
this film just is too broad, I think, maybe on that, and it doesn't,
and it
and it
does
never.
weird things with mental health.
Yeah,
It takes the
it's
story
just.
in a weird way where you take the center figure who's affected by mental health, and then they make that person become the villain.
Kinda,
because of
yeah.
mental health. I mean, it's like I guess you did that in a more exaggerated sense with something like Joker,
Yeah.
where it's like okay, they did show actual mental health issues, but that was like that was a whole other thing. But
Yeah. That's a whole other thing.
this is like mental health that you can that's it's like functional,
Right.
you know, and they could have taken it any way they wanted to, and they somehow they turned him into the villain, and so like even when
But then,
when he makes something out of this bad stuff, but it's like he's manipulating things, and it's like you don't know how to feel. What are you supposed to feel about?
yeah, and that's the thing is the whole spin of the movie, because that's when he admits to his mom, I tried to kill myself. That's like that's supposed to be we've gotten to know this character this whole time, and that's supposed to be the moment when we sort of like, oh, I understand now why you did all these horrible things. And it's like, no, that doesn't excuse it. It's like that's a horrible thing, and I feel horrible that that's what the character felt like he had to do at that period of time. But like that doesn't justify anything. Like that doesn't make me feel any more gross about all the stuff that he's been doing. It's just like, yeah, that's a horrible thing that he felt like he couldn't turn to anybody about that. But like, I don't. It was so bizarre.
I don't know what I
Yeah,
expected going into this movie, but like, cause I
wasn't
mean, they
that?
showed the concept of like, okay, Connor. They showed the whole thing in the trailer where he
Yeah,
signs the cast, and that's what
yeah,
leads to the confusion. So I knew the
right.
setup. I don't know where I expected it to go, but I didn't expect him to be doubling down on the lie and everything.
Yeah,
And I was expecting to be all here for him going on some sort of journey here, but
it almost could have been interesting if it was like it was such a severe social anxiety that it was like that like sort of developed where he like legitimately can't explain it. So the only way that we as an audience kind of get that connection is through him singing, which is like an inner monologue or something. And it's just like he just can't seem to find the right words to say. He could maybe be on the spectrum or something in addition to having stuff. You know, there could have been other interesting ways to make it so that like I felt like that scene in the auditorium where he's saying that should have been the moment where he admitted everything was wrong. Like to me, that seems like the proper climax, and not to go on a whole thing where it's like you're manipulating his sister, you're manipulating all these people for money, and it's like all this stuff like that happens,
yeah, because it's like,
and it's like
what is the message? I don't know. Are we supposed to?
mental health is important,
Mental health is important, yeah.
but it's like and it was bad that he did those things, but hey, some good stuff came out of it, so that's okay. And it's like, well, no, that's not okay.
But then he did the video admitting to it, sent that out.
But we
Is Evan Hansen a bad person?
Yes, I can say that definitively. Yes,
He's a
that's
complex
that.
individual.
I that's what I mean. It's like, yeah, I don't want to say that. I want to root for him. I want this show to have been something where I could have rooted for him, but I just can't.
But
I just can't. There's just no justification for it in my mind. That's not what the film presented us with is not a good enough justification for the stuff that he did.
how did he get caught exactly? What caused him to end up confessing it again?
It was like, so I think, I don't know, there was some weird, yeah, I don't even really know specifically. All of a sudden it was like, oh, now there's this fallout with the family, and it's like, well, why wasn't there fallout with the family before?
Oh, when the letter
Yeah,
was
what was,
published
did the letter say
by
something specific to finger them? That's the thing that I couldn't really understand, that I didn't really understand. That was I was
yeah, I
kind
can't
of
remember what
confused.
the letter was
I felt some
exactly.
I felt some whiplash there, and I couldn't remember exactly like why is all of this all of a sudden now a problem for them? Why wasn't this a problem for them before?
Because I know it was like a big thing when she published it, and he was
Yeah,
upset about that, or she put it on the internet.
right. Because all of a sudden, then a bunch of hate comments started being levied towards the family. And it was like, oh, well, why are they doing this fundraiser? They're these rich folks. Like, wow, isn't it sad that this kid killed himself and he wrote a letter to his friend and not his family? How pathetic is that? Like, it's stuff like that. But I was like, well, why wasn't that happening before? I guess I didn't really understand that. Like, was there something specifically in the letter that like made them? I think it was something in the letter that made them look worse or something. I guess I don't know. It was very weird. Like, it was just very sudden. I was like, people on social media are ruthless anyways. I would have felt like that would have been grasped a hold of by trolls earlier. What's the synopsis?
I'm trying to find the actual letter. So I think this is it. Dear Evan Hansen, it turns out this wasn't an amazing day after all. This isn't going to be an amazing week or an amazing year, because why would it be? Oh, I know, because there's Zoe, and all my hope is pinned on Zoe, who I don't even know and who doesn't know me. But maybe if I did, maybe if I could just talk to her, then maybe nothing would be different at all. I wish that everything was different. I wish that I was part of something. I wish that anything I said mattered to anyone. I mean, face it, would anyone even notice if I disappeared tomorrow? Sincerely, your best and most dearest friend, me.
Yeah, I don't really get why all of a sudden that was like, now the family's in dire straits. Guess it was because it was the suicide note. It wasn't just email correspondences.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, this is the suicide note that was written, is how it's interpreted, right?
And
so
then,
like,
yeah, and he names Zoe specifically.
Yeah.
But then I guess this is what inspires him, or I don't know if there's anything else, but I remember he ended up saying to them, like, well, he didn't write it.
Yeah, that's I guess the fallout of this. And then I think it was also seeing, it wasn't just that too. It wasn't just that. It was seeing the family unit that he had now sort of like adopted as his family, because he's in kind of a broken home. It's seeing that unit now turn on each other, and he's like, wait, they shouldn't be turning on each other. It's my fault. I think that's the thing that got him to admit it.
But was it before this that Alana was starting to ask whether it was real?
Yes, that's why he sent her that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's like, this is like the suicide note.
Threw it up there.
Yeah. Like, wow, thanks. Even though he specifically said no one else can see this.
Yeah.
She's like, well, we really need the money, so it's like, wow, okay.
There were details in the stuff he mentioned, like the emails that didn't track. That's what red flags for her. She's like, you said this happened this year, but you were at school or whatever.
Yeah.
So you weren't there. He's like, oh, I must have mixed it up. But so if he's a bad person, why would he confess to it? Right?
Because his family, because his family unit, because it's affecting him finally. It's finally come to the point where, like,
but I think he knows at that point it's gonna mess up everything once he tells what the truth is. I think he knows that.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to. He does, but he also doesn't. I think he finally comes to terms with the fact that, like, this can't go any further, or else someone's going to find out that I lied, and I don't want this family torn apart for my lie.
But it's ultimately built on his insecurities is where it all started, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't started like with bad intentions. It just kind of morphed into that.
Right.
But it was rough.
But
I don't know.
Still gross.
But yeah, I like the idea that you were saying, where he ends up going through with it in the end. That would be a really dark, alternate ending for this movie.
It would be. But I think.
But again, the message would be even more confusing, I feel like.
I think I don't know if it would, because then it could, something more could happen with the characters. Could then go through, like, we weren't even paying, because, like, the characters themselves weren't even really paying attention to Evan's mental health problems throughout it. You know, like it's never really the only real character that's addressing his problems, or at least trying to, is his mother, who's she's never there, and it's like she's trying her best, but she's not, and she's self-admittedly not a very good mother, and, like, she's trying, but she knows she's failing. Like, to me, it almost would have been like they open the orchard. They know everything is now a lie, but now the orchard can open in memory of both of them. Yes, they both did horrible things, but they were both struggling. They were the anonymous ones to a degree. Even though Evan had put himself on a pedestal, essentially. It's like there was still that stuff that he didn't really even talk about, really.
Yeah.
That was, like, in there to make that the orchard could open. It could still be like an ending that has a positive spin in terms of, like, now people are more willing to see how important it is to actually address these problems and talk about them and make sure your family and your friends know about them. That would have been probably what I would do. Not a super feel good ending, which I mean, I didn't even feel good at the end of this anyway.
Yeah.
But I felt like I personally would have gotten more out of it had that happened. So
yeah, that is, I do like that. It could be like the Connor and Evan orchard,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
In the end, and it's like, yeah, and it would be pretty thought provoking because, like, well, okay, this whole thing is built on this lie, on them going to this orchard to begin with. It never happened, but yet now we have this thing memorializing this lie. But the lie was based on these insecurities and stuff that came from the mental health problems. So it would really have, it would tie it in pretty cool.
Yeah.
Way.
Yeah.
I mean, they could even do. They could have even done like another. They could have even done like a final. He writes a final, Dear Evan Hansen letter too, and they could have had some cool closure with that.
That kind of come up again, and then you could even do a reprise of "You Will Be Found," kind of thing.
And maybe like break it down a little acoustic.
Yeah. You know, like they did in Hamilton.
I think we cracked.
You know,
we cracked the code here.
Yeah, we wrote a better musical.
If that ending went in here, despite all the complex feelings we went through there, do you think that makes the movie better?
I think it would have. I think it would have definitely. It would have given the movie more of like a wow. It's a thing to sit and process because it's like a lot more than like what I got was like, oh, that sure was a movie where a sequence of events happened and it was supposed to feel good at the end, but I didn't.
Yeah, and they were uplifting me when I didn't want to be uplifted.
Yeah.
I did not consent to being uplifted at that moment.
Yeah, that's it.
But the internet was rallying around him and everything, and it's like, okay, that would be great. That would be great. That would be like even more of a break the internet. It's like, whoa, this movie made a crazy statement where the guy goes through mental health issues and is not alive in the end. And you see this whole struggle and path.
Yeah. It would have been.
Wow.
But no, the internet's instead just kind of harping on the fact that he looks like he's way too old to be in high school, which
that's the least of our problems.
The story is the real big problem. I think the acting is pretty bad. I actually don't even think his singing performance is great. Don't get me wrong. He's a great voice, but I think the acting in the singing is really awkward and strange. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the direction.
And it's weird. Yeah. It's just weird when it breaks out into song and it's like, oh, we're singing now.
Yeah. He's like, there were times where he was doing that, and I was like, oh god, like stay away. Like, it was so weird. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff.
Amy Adams even kind of annoyed me.
Yeah, she bothered me. So I kept being like, why is she in this movie? It was so Julianne Moore too is like very distracting casting decisions.
The dad just felt weird. It's
a
lot of weirdness in this movie.
Oh, no, There Will Be No Requiem. That song is actually really good too.
I don't know if I remember it exactly.
That was the song where Amy Adams is reading the letters, and the stepdad is not reading them, and then the girl's going on the drive. She's like driving and like going super fast.
Oh yeah.
Because she's trying to process all the complicated feelings she has about her brother. Yeah, it's interesting.
She got taken through a journey on this movie.
Yeah, she got taken for a ride. That's for sure. She did. She absolutely did.
For a ride there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what score would you give Dear Evan Hansen, the movie adaptation?
This is like a 3.5 out of 10 for me, I think.
5.
Yeah, I would not recommend it. I didn't think the film had not enough nuance to talk about the serious subject matter. Weird decisions, both in the direction, weird decisions in terms of like, I feel like maybe if they had left some songs in, maybe it would have improved the pacing. It's just what a bizarre film. I did not expect to hate it as much as I did. I did not expect to not like it as much as I did. I expected to get something more out of it, but I felt like just kind of gross at the end. So
now now I'm just imagining our alternate ending, and I'm all here for it. I'm all here for this movie.
I would. That would be a much better. I feel like that would be a much better movie. It would have been sad. and people would have been like, "How dare you have such a dark ending?" But it's like I felt like you would have
It would have been
so
edgy,
much more
yeah.
of a profound, sort of like
These
get
guys,
people talking about mental health,
these
like way
goggles.
more in a way more like open kind of way. It's like, but no, we gotta have it's Broadway, so
3.5 seems really low to me. I almost feel
yeah.
like I can't rate something that low when I loved a couple of the songs so much.
I do so the reason that's keeping me, so like I say, I hate the story. I hate the story, and I don't like Evan Hansen as our protagonist. That's why it's so low to me, because to me, like, if you're gonna make a movie, story's paramount.
Paramount Plus sometimes.
Yeah, Paramount Plus sometimes. The thing that's raising that number for me is the songs that I enjoyed, because
Mm-hmm.
there are songs in it that are great, and there are songs that I'll probably listen to outside of this, but nah, man, I did that story's real rough.
Like the "You Will Be Found" moment. Also, I don't even know how I felt about the "You Will Be Found" where they started doing all the social media stuff. I was like, okay, but
It felt like a little, it almost felt like a little
it
much.
felt almost like a movie trailer at times.
Like it was a scene that was made for a movie trailer.
Yeah, like the whole
Yeah,
"You
kind
Will Be
of.
Found"
Yeah,
sequence. I'm like, damn, this is a really good song.
but
And
this,
the message is
but
really
that,
good, but it's built on this weird thing. So I
yeah,
don't know how to feel about it. Waving
and it's
Through a
also,
Window obviously is
yeah,
great.
yeah, that's a good song. I like that. Like that to me felt like being a wallflower in middle school. Like that's like how that encapsulates like the isolation you feel. I think it's great.
Hmm.
I thought that was great.
I came
And I
in
went,
actually thinking my score would be higher. Like I never thought it
yeah,
would be high, but I was thinking like a 7. Uh, but the more I think about it, I'm like, okay, I didn't really enjoy it. It was only the only things I enjoyed from it are just the ideas of like a kid dealing with mental health. But even when they deal with that, they don't deal with it too well. I
yeah.
also liked how the dad was the classic. Oh, I got my sports ball in a
Oh
box,
yeah,
dad.
yeah. So here's another thing I liked. I liked the fact that he was. It almost looked like it was going to take the approach where he was like, "I hate my son, my stepson. I'm the stepdad, and I hate this." It's like, no, they took a way more nuanced approach of being a stepdad, where it's like, another really great scene is when he talked about, like, he was talking about the first time he met him, and I was like, oh my god, that was tugging at my heartstrings too. I was like, oh, this is great.
Hmm.
This is speaking to the paternal instinct that I feel like I have. But but that's it. I didn't
It
feel
just
anything for Evan
feels like
Hansen.
this movie should have been good. Something went
I
horribly wrong
know.
in
I don't
the
I don't get it. It's
like
yeah.
from the trailer, and with the waving through a window plan is like, okay, yes, this is
Well
gonna
no,
be
I
great.
well no, I do get it. It's a faulty premise by with a person who looks way too old singing stuff and being pretending that he's in high school, and it's very there's that in and of itself is a disconnect, I think. So,
Waving through a window.
all right, what do you get him, Zach? You don't have to come down to my level.
Oh, I'm not on your level,
Okay.
but because
Say what's in your gut.
I think of the things that I like are only the songs, but I don't even like a lot of the songs. They drag on, and I'm sleeping.
I'm straight sleeping over here.
I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay, that's
All
fair.
right.
Yeah,
I give Sonic the Hedgehog a 5 out of 10.
yeah.
I realize
Which gives it a Tarqaron score of
4.25 out of
0.5.
10.
Yeah,
This should never. This is a tragedy. I mean,
it's
I saw a thumbnail in like a movie of like title
mhm.
on YouTube. I was like, this is a tragic mistake or
Yeah,
a
tragic
tragic,
misstep maybe,
yeah, something like that. I'm like,
mistake,
yeah, this
misstep.
feels tragic because it's like it feels like it should be good.
It should it
Like
because
that was all here
I'm
for.
not. I'm 100. Yeah, I'm here for. I think the idea. I'm totally with you. I like the idea of the musical. I like the idea of telling a story like this, like a real kids, real problems, I guess, kind of Broadway show, rather than like it's not really a high concept. It's just like a down to earth sort of story. The music itself is very singer songwritery, which fits into the final sort of song at the end of the movie, but just execution was not there. Story wasn't there.
Tragic.
Yeah.
And Ben Platt's gonna ride or die. He's gonna go down with the ship, man.
I mean, it's kind of tragic because he's kind of a darling for Broadway, you know, because people love him for this role, and like now that it's been released to wider audiences, like everyone is kind of dunking on this movie, which, you know, granted, I think is somewhat deserved, but I do feel kind of bad for him in a way.
Yeah, well,
he should have been cast. He should not have been cast as Evan Hansen.
But that wasn't the problem. If he had ever,
it was not
good,
the
then
problem.
I would have.
But I feel like
it is fine.
Yeah, I feel like I agree. I agree. It's not the problem, but it is definitely a problem. The problem is the story.
The problem is the creative vision. So, what video would you recommend our viewers watch after this?
Go watch a review of In the Heights, which is a much better musical that I think Zach and I both loved and still love. I watch again in a heartbeat. I've watched it twice. I love.
How can something
movie.
like that happen and then something like this happen? Something's not adding up.
It's almost like it has to do with direction and actually having a good story that you baseline.
All right, give me a good mental health musical. Come on.
Well, we wrote part of one.
Yeah, we're there. We're almost there. Dear Evan Hansen, like the remake. Yeah, we'll do a remake of it.
A remake. Goodbye, Evan Hansen.
Yeah.
The sequel. It's the sequel.
It's like Dear Evan Hansen Coda. It's like
Coda.
Killing Evan Hansen.
Oh God, that's so messed. That's messed up.
It's dark, but it'll give everybody's attention, and it'll
it will. It's a snappy title like that will be really.
All right, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to our podcast feed. Hit the notification bell. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of Dear Evan Hansen. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and like us on Facebook. Tarqaron TWO.
Right. Take care of yourself. Honestly, dude.
Take care of yourselves.
Dude, take care of yourself.
Yeah.